Another win and another great game for Mattias Samuelsson. Things that are coming naturally lately. We'll talk about Sabres Rangers here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody, and welcome in to this Friday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to your podcast. That could be also on our YouTube channel where you can watch the show. Hit the like and subscribe button if you do. If you would like to become a part of our Locked On Sabres Everydayer Club, you could do that by heading over to lockedonsabres.supercast.com. Ad-free versions of the show, our Discord, and plenty of other perks along with it in our Everydayers Club. Sneaky Joe DiBiase, today's episode is presented by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Another great night for the Buffalo Sabres. Another win. This time at Madison Square Garden. It got really hairy in the third period, as it did against Vancouver. So some things to clean up there to talk about on today's show. A good goalie performance, this time by Colton Ellis. Although, kind of like Luukkonen the other night, one of these softies. So we'll talk about Ellis in this game and going forward, as well as some of the key contributors from this game. Some of the numbers, some of the stats, and also what's been going on the out-of-town scoreboard. What you got on Thursday was a win and enough help around the league in the last couple of days that you open up the standings right now and you don't even got to do it by points percentage. You just see the Buffalo Sabres sitting there in a playoff spot, second wild card position, one spot behind the Pittsburgh Penguins, 1 point behind Pittsburgh. They are 5 back of the third place team in the Atlantic, which at the moment is Tampa. However, no games in hand against Tampa. They're 6 back of Detroit with 3 games in hand, 6 back of Montreal, who wins again. They're looking good lately. Montreal 6 points ahead. Sabres, though, have 2 games in hand against the Canadiens, and as we've mentioned, 3 games against them this month. So that could change a lot in the coming days. At the moment, in terms of teams behind them, the Sabres are tied with the Capitals with 50 points. However, the Sabres have 2 games in hand. Here comes Toronto, the Maple Leafs. I had said last week, hey, for now, root for teams like Columbus when they're playing other East teams, root for teams like Toronto when they're playing other Eastern Conference teams. I think we might have to kill that for a little bit of time. The Leafs are playing better. Austin Matthews has finally got his head out of his you-know-what to get rolling here this season, and they are 1 point back of the Sabres. They've played one more game, so by points percentage, they're a little bit lower, but the Leafs are a team to start watching as well. Boston and Florida hanging out behind there. Out-of-town scoreboard tonight, we'll get to that a little bit later on, as last night, Boston beating Calgary, of course, was not great, and some other results, but we'll get to that. We got to get to this game, all that happened, and what a night, again, for Mattias Samuelsson. Everyone, did you jump out of your chair when that happened? I mean, it sounded like Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray did when they did it. I mean, the surprise in Dan's voice when he made that call, I think was what everybody was feeling on the bench, on the ice with himself maybe, myself, everybody watching. I mean, it was incredible. And the way that game had been devolving, the Sabres have the lead going into the third, and you immediately get that soft goal, and it's, oh, here we go. Now they got a whole period to defend a 1-goal lead, and then the Rangers came after them for the next 15 minutes. It was an onslaught. The Sabres spent very little time getting opportunities on Jonathan Quick. Jack Quinn had a nice 2-on-1 chance in the third period, but I could count on one hand the number of chances that they had. The Rangers, meanwhile, super busy around the net. The Sabres were scrambling around and blocking shots and couldn't get it out, and lots of icings. And then Peyton Krebs, who got lit up earlier in the game, takes a tough 4-minute penalty late in the game, high sticking on Vinny Trocheck at the 14:24 mark, so just over 5 minutes to go. At that point, Rangers going to spend much of the rest of the game on the man advantage. They have been buzzing in your zone all period long. The vibes were not great. I thought they were going to have a tough time holding on there. I thought the Rangers were showing like a team that was going to figure it out and going to get the tying goal. And again, by the way, this late game penalty stuff got to end. This is happening a lot. Tage took a 4-minute high sticking, of course, the other night. There was the Kesselring penalty a couple of weeks ago late in the game against the Islanders that got that game to overtime. I mean, just late game penalties need to end. So you get one here from Krebs. And again, I'm thinking they're probably going to let one in. And it was so fast. Seconds in, there goes Mattias Samuelsson. Unbelievable, this guy this season. I saw he's 5th in the league in goals above replacement, behind like only Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, and like Cale Makar. Like, he's one of the best players in the NHL this season by some of the advanced numbers. And there goes Samuelsson up the wall. McLeod gives it to him. And Lindy, I thought, had a smart comment about that play by Samuelsson, that he didn't really think, and I'm sure Samuelsson, maybe, I don't think he talked to the media last night, but he would say this too, that his intention at the time when he got the puck wasn't to go in and get an opportunity. You're a defenseman on the penalty kill. Your priority is to hang back. You are the last person on the ice that is supposed to go out there on a 1-on-2 situation and try to score a goal down a man. That's never the plan. However, Samuelsson, I got to give him a lot of props for having the intelligence to realize what's going on in front of him, that the Rangers have backed off, that even though there are 2 of them, they're Lafreniere, like, they are not pressing him. They're giving him the space. And I think a lot of players wouldn't have the spatial awareness to go in and try to score a goal. They would just have the instinct to say, I'm the defenseman, I've got to get back, let me chip this in, no matter the amount of pressure that's being applied to them. But Samuelsson realizes, oh, they're backing off? Okay, I'm going to skate in. I'm going to skate in a little bit more. I'm going to keep going. And now they didn't back off so much that he could cut it to the net. So it still took an aggressive shot and an incredible shot to score this goal. And the reason I say it's an aggressive shot by Samuelsson in the third period is he actually, you know what, he did speak in postgame, because I remember him saying this. The risk of that shot is that if you miss it high, it's going to ring around the boards, and the Rangers could pick it up and go fast in the other direction and maybe have a 5-on-3 situation with 2 forwards being back for your team. That's an inoperable situation. It makes things really hard if you miss that shot. But as Samuelsson said, Jonathan Quick, they have, 17, 18 years of tape and watching this goalie to know. Everyone knows Jonathan Quick. He's going to be low. He's always close to the ice. And the way to get him for his entire career has been roof it. Pick a corner, top shelf, get him up high. And that's what happens here. Quick's too low. It's a shorthanded goal. It's a short side goal. And this guy is shooting the lights out of the puck right now. Samuelsson's 7th goal of the season. And just for some context on how incredible it is that this man has played 40 games this season, so he missed 2, and has 7 goals on the year. In his previous 212 games of his career, so the first 212 games of his career, he had 7 goals total. Remember, he got that extension before he ever scored 1. He was not a scorer at all. Of course, if you were a part of it, you will remember, maybe you just knew about it, I used to run a Sammy Squares pool where we would give money to charity and, the other half would go to the winner. And it basically was everybody would get 82 people to play, and every person would get their own game on the Sabres schedule. And the game that Samuelsson scored in was the game where if you had that game, you won. And it was a big pot, and you would get to keep half if you wanted, and the other half would go to a charity of your choosing. But that is where we were at with Samuelsson. He scored goals so infrequently that I was able to run a fun pool about it. This year, I did not run that pool, and thank goodness, because we'd be bankrupt, right? I mean, 7 goals in 40 games after 7 in 212 is insane. And he had a really nice assist in this game, by the way, too, that we'll get to. So 2 more points on the night. His performance, I said this a couple weeks ago, is the most breathtaking Sabres year-to-year development that I have seen other than Tage Thompson. And I had said that Brian Campbell was the second most impressive I had ever seen. Samuelson's starting to flirt with that. I think I still got to give it to Campbell, right? Because he went from healthy scratch defenseman to now he is, or what he became, which was an all-star level defenseman, a Stanley Cup winning defenseman, a long time, very good defenseman in the NHL. But man, Samuelson's starting to knock on that door. He's incredible. He's a number one defenseman. He's been their best defenseman all year. And they've had some good games. I mean, Dahlin is Dahlin, although he's been, I think, a little bit down as of late. Byram has had a stretch like you can't believe lately. Power has really figured things out, I think, in the last couple of weeks. But all of those guys have had some struggles this year. Dahlin even a little bit lesser for him, but Byram's had his struggles early in the year. Power had that really tough middle stretch. Samuelson's not had a struggling period, I think, all year. Like, he has been rock solid, amazing defensively, physical. There was a play in this game behind the net where Braden Schneider, the Rangers defenseman that actually had hit Krebs earlier in the game, he had jumped up in the play, and he's behind the net. He's coming from the corner behind the net, and he's looking to get the puck out for an opportunity. And Samuelson crashes down from the right side of the net, low, and just takes him out of the play 100%. Puts him on the ground, giant hit. Schneider is 6'3", 210. So he's not a small body by any means. Samuelson just took him out. He's been so physical all year, ending plays like he did there. And I kept saying, I think that the offense is the thing that is probably unsustainable for him. But man, it's not stopping. It continues. He's got good playmaking ability right now. I think even when he's down low in plays, like the assists he had, he's shooting the puck really well. He's got a heavy shot because of his size. So maybe it won't go away. Maybe he'll just be a guy that scores 10 goals a year. He's on pace for 14 right now. So not unbelievable effort. His season has been incredible. I mean, MVP of the Sabre season right now. Is that even debatable? I mean, Tage is obviously, their leading point getter, and he's been great. And Dahlin is your best player on the overall long term. But mid-season MVP is Mattias Samuelsson. Not just most improved player. I mean, he can have that one too, right? But MVP. He's been the best player on the team, the most consistent player, the most physical player, just all of it. He's been awesome. Maybe they start putting him on the power play. Honestly, why not? Big shot. He's moving the puck well. He's very, calm, I think, when he's feeling pressure. And I think he's finally realized, like, oh, I'm 6'5", 230. You can't take the puck from me. If some small player is on him and he can just kind of stick his butt out and get positioning, like you cannot take the puck from him. And I think he's finally picked up on that too when he has it. So put him on the power play. See what happens. Although they did get a power play goal last night. Samuelson, what a game. When we come back, some of the other goals that were scored in this game, more on the overall, some of the numbers. Doan and McLeod, really good nights, and they found the back of the net. More to get to coming up on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by Game Time. I'll be going to a bunch of these games in the next week or so get in the building. It's going to be a hot ticket. A lot of fans are really excited right now, and the building is going to start filling up, and there is nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, atmosphere, of course, you get that now. Watching at home is great, but being in the building, completely different experience. Only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting the tickets. Long queues, endless screens, and prices that changed at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. You pull up the Game Time app, check out some of those upcoming games. You're surprised how fast you're going to find great seats. App's incredibly easy to use. Browsing, comparing, buying tickets takes only minutes. The view your seat function on the app, of course, it makes things very easy. Zone deals are clutch. You choose the section. Game Time picks the seat. You have to go searching through all those tickets. Really feels like also those fees that are included up front, that's actually very good because you could see a number for a ticket, be committed to it mentally, and then you get into the checkout, and then it's twice as high because of fees. Game Time doesn't do that. They're going to show it to you right up front. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The Sabres and the Rangers. It goes the way of Buffalo. 5-2 was the final. Of course, it was a lot closer than that throughout much of the third period. Before the third period, the Sabres got out to a nice little lead. 4 minutes in, Josh Doan, and this was the pass I had mentioned by Samuelson. He actually had an opportunity from kind of the slot, high slot, between the slot and the blue line. Heavy shot. It breaks the Rangers forward stick, and the puck kind of dribbles in behind him. So Samuelson realizes that. He skates in, he picks it up, and he goes down low. And as he said last night, luckily Josh Doan slams his stick on the ice and yells at Samuelson, or yells for the pass, and Samuelson hears him and spins his hips a little bit, throws that puck out to Doan. He's got the whole net to shoot at, and he puts it in for his 14th goal of the year, which, by the way, if you are somebody that partakes in our bet of the night festivities this year, we had Josh Doan anytime goal last night. So that was at plus 290. So, hey, we are now at plus 11.8 units on the season. So we're having fun. Doan, 4 goals in a row. 4 goals in 4 games. So he's really scoring, and that's good to see. I know I'm seeing a lot of those JJ Peterka, Josh Doan comparisons. Right now, by the way, if you're wondering, it stands at Doan, 14 goals, 15 assists. Peterka, 15 goals and 14 assists. They have the same amount of points so far this year, which is pretty incredible. And also, it feels like a win at the moment for Buffalo, or at least a wash. So Doan's been playing really well. Before the Rangers got their first, the Tuck goal. What a play by Bo Byram. Every goal in this game was started by a defenseman. We talked about on our last show how active the Sabres defensemen have been lately, that Lindy Ruff has given Byram, Dahlin, Samuelson power, license to jump up in plays, create for themselves, create for others, like drive the offense from the back end, be willing to do that. And in this game, all 4 of their non-empty net goals were started by a defenseman. So the Doan goal, Samuelson, the Tuck goal, Byram. Bo Byram starting to play out of his own end. He's playing with such confidence right now. His stick handling is so good every night. He switched sticks, I think, a couple weeks ago, by the way, because I think it doesn't just, maybe that's why it also looks better. I think his stick, he might be using a shorter stick. But anyways, Byram toe dragging Artemi Panarin in the neutral zone and going coast to coast from his own end to the offensive zone. And by getting around 2 Rangers on the way down, he's created an odd man situation. I mean, it's 4-on-3, but he's created that vacuum behind him in the offensive zone by coming through with so much speed and getting the Rangers defenders to really back off. So they back up towards Jonathan Quick, and Alex Tuck, being the smart offensive player that he is, he slows down. He sees all that space, and all Byram's got to do is know, all right, well, I pressed it up. I'm like a fullback. I blocked these linebackers I got a lot of football hockey comparisons lately, I know. But he drops it back to Tuck. He's created that vacuum for Tuck. And now it's just one-on-one. It's Alex Tuck against Jonathan Quick. That's it. And Quick beats him. Or Tuck beats him. Amazing shot, posting in, goal scorer's goal, his 14th of the year. But that play was totally created by Bo Byram. An awesome game from him. The Zucker goal. Power play. They finally get a power play goal. Not surprising that he was the culprit or the one that gets it in the back of the net. He by far leads the Buffalo Sabres in power play goals this year. So it's not surprising that he would be the guy. Little bit of a dirty goal, right? Goes off his stick, goes off Quick, goes off Zucker's back, and then it finds its way into the back of the net. So that's going to happen. Now on the year, by the way, he's at 7 power play goals. Doan is second, or 6-4. Zucker over Doan. However, Zucker's played half the games that everybody else has. That play, it's a booming shot from Dahlin at the point. Nice workaround from the wing to the point. Dahlin blasts off from the point. It's a big, big shot. And then, of course, you get the cleanup in front to make it 3-1 at that time. The two Ranger goals we'll talk about when we talk about Colton Ellis. Finally, the McLeod goal, empty netter. Usually don't want to spend a lot of time on an empty netter, but that empty netter was incredible. McLeod, his skating. We know how fast he is. I think he's the second fastest skater in the NHL behind Connor McDavid. For him to shoot that puck wide on the PK, Sabres are still killing off that penalty, right? And he throws it down the ice. And I think the penalty expired, by the way, while he was going down there because it didn't count as shorthanded. So it goes off the wall, or it could have been icing, I guess, because he beat Panarin to it. For him to beat Panarin to the puck, he had such a head start. He had a head start over the defenseman, too. He had a head start over two Rangers. And he had the wherewithal to know this is going to go off the boards. And, Panarin's gassed over there. I could beat him to this puck, even though he had a crazy disadvantage in terms of distance at the beginning of it. But he flies down the ice, and he got it easily, right? Like, he easily won that race to the puck and iced it there. I mean, it was still a 2-goal game with a minute and a half to go, and, they had an extra man, so you never know what's going to happen. So good to get the icing on the cake there. McLeod, his 9th goal. Matt Larkin declaring defeat after last night's game. Funny that after an empty netter is when that would happen, but I guess the Sabre fans' fun is over with him on social media for now. When we come back to wrap things up, Colton Ellis's game, he gets the first win in over a month for the Buffalo Sabres. Kind of like we asked with Luukkonen. Is it a good game if you let in a really, really soft one? We'll talk about it coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Of course, all these hockey games are bet of the night, doing really, really well. And all those odds, all those bets are always for me on FanDuel. Football, especially, big time for FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is going to give customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets that you like the most. Maybe that's Brandon Cooks over 19.5 receiving yards on Sunday against the Jags. Open the profit boost pack first thing on game day. See what boost you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet on something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel way bigger too. You make your picks, apply your profit boost, get even bigger payouts with the playoffs rolling. Visit FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Grab your profit boost pack every NFL game day. Wrapping things up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, Colton Ellis. Let's get to Colton Ellis, and then a very quick look at what we want to be rooting for in the couple of games on Friday night. More action this weekend. Colton Ellis. He ends the game with 30 saves on 32 shots for a .938 save percentage, which is a very good effort in this game. His goal save above expected. Let me get that for you. I closed that. But the one goal that he allows in the second period is not really one that I want to criticize him for. It's a cross-ice pass all the way on the other end. It's Panarin to Zibanejad, and that's a guy with a very good shot who's been a goal scorer for a long time in the NHL, and it was a perfectly placed shot. So, sure, like once in a while he's going to make that save and make you think he can make it, but that's not one you're really that mad about. And actually, Ellis had made a save in the first period where he flew across the ice in a very similar type of play and made the save. He is, if there's one strength that Colton Ellis very clearly has as a goaltender, it is his lateral quickness is off the charts. He can move side to side like the best of them. And to be fair, when you're 6'1" as a goalie, usually you would assume that, right? Devin Levi, it's his best trait at 6 foot. Like if you're a smaller goalie, you got to have athleticism going side to side. And Ellis has that. He made a big save that way in the first. There was another good sequence in the second where he made a really nice blocker save point blank. And then he got over and made the rebound save and didn't allow another rebound after that. So he made some nice saves there. The third was a little bit more tricky to look at because Ellis lets in a softie early on. I mean, a puck along the ice from Vinny Trocheck. I'll say the exact same thing I said about Luukkonen the other night, the soft goal that he allowed against Vancouver. Ellis on Trocheck. You just cannot let that puck in. You can't. You can't let that in. Not at that spot. Not in the third period. Not when you have a 2-goal lead. You got to keep that buffer. I mean, they really could have lost it last night, and it would have been sparked by a goal that should never go in the back of the net. Is there a problem right now with the Sabres and the 5-hole? We know that's a problem with Luukkonen. Shooters want to pick on that, and these guys are scouting that. Samuelson's comment last night, he's talking about Jonathan Quick and how, we do all our scouting, and we know the way to beat Quick is up high. It's not a coincidence. The Sabres missed the net a lot against the Rangers, and that Alex Tuck hit a crossbar. And that all their misses were high. That's where you shoot on Jonathan Quick. That's where you beat him. So your misses then are going to be high. On the other end, Luukkonen, very clearly, the place to beat him is the 5-hole. It's why against Columbus, where Brendan Gaunce is coming down on a breakaway, and he doesn't mess around. He doesn't feel the need to go forehand, backhand. He doesn't feel the need to try to get him drifting and pick a corner. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He gets to the face-off circles. He doesn't even get in that close. And I'm just going to shoot at Luukkonen's 5-hole. And it was easy. An easy goal to score. Luukkonen let in another 5-hole goal against Vancouver. Like, that's where you beat him. Ellis, is that the same thing? I don't know. We don't have enough tape, I think, on Colton Ellis to really truly know that, unless you are somebody that had watched him in the AHL, which I am not. So I don't really know what his weakness is right now. As we get more games, we might get a chance to see that. I really hope it's not the 5-hole, because the one thing about the 5-hole being your weakness is it always looks bad. It always looks bad. And that can be demoralizing for players. Now, good on the Sabres. It wasn't. They didn't go, oh, you kidding me? Like, that can happen so easily in hockey, but they responded. Well, they responded in their own end. I don't want to say they played that well, because they were really trapped for a lot of that period, but the desperation they had was what you needed when you're going to be trapped. So they got through it. It's not the way you want to play going forward. Like, they deserve, a golf clap for Malenstein and Greenway throwing themselves in front of a shot when all 5 Sabres are packed around the crease. They deserve a little bit of credit for clearing the net on some of these plays where they couldn't get it out. But you can't play like that night to night. When you are defending a lead, you got to have some possession. You got to have some control. Every play can't be, let me try to chip it out, and half of them get out to the neutral zone and come right back in, and the other half gets stopped by the defenseman and they maintain possession. That can't be your plan. There needs to be some skating. There needs to be some passing. It can't just be dump every single time. And that is what helps get you in trouble. So going forward, I'd like to see something different. I'm pretty confident we will, because that isn't how they've looked defending periods lately. They've played with the lead a lot, and I think they've looked better than what they looked like in that third period. Even against the Canucks, those were bounces, more in a bad goal by Luukkonen, more than they were just getting run over and they couldn't get the puck out. So all in all, though, for Ellis, I thought it was a great game. He made some phenomenal saves early. He lets the bad one in. And at the end of the day, he stops 1.19 goals above expected. So expected goals for him were 3.19, and he ends up allowing 2. So a nice night from him. Where he will play next, I think they will go back to Luukkonen against the Ducks tomorrow. But you got a 5-game homestand here. Lyon will return at some point. I would guess right now, Luukkonen plays Saturday. And if it goes well, Luukkonen plays again on Monday. And then Lyon gets, I would guess, the Philadelphia game. And if not, Montreal. Not Lyon, Ellis. I think Ellis gets one of the two next week between Philly and Montreal. That's probably when you see him next. And then we'll revisit from there and see if Lyon is healthy or not. So good game from Ellis, and another win for him in his 9th start in the NHL. Really quick, before we wrap things up here, what you want to be rooting for on the out-of-town scoreboard, because there are 3 games in the NHL on Friday night, and some of these are easy when they're West versus East. You want to be rooting for Chicago tonight to beat the Washington Capitals. Washington's been struggling a lot lately. They lost to Dallas bad the other night. That game is in Chicago. Chicago is about to pick them plus 110 to win the game. They're not a great team. They're 500, NHL 500. So you're rooting for Chicago to beat Washington, and that's it. That's it. The only game you got to be looking at. The other two are both West versus West games. All right, that'll do it for us. Oh, NHL Draft 2026. That's going to be in Buffalo. Elliot Friedman reporting that today. So, a little exciting. If you're a big draft nerd, then you're super excited, but that'll be fun to have it back here in Buffalo. I don't know if it's decentralized, centralized. We'll figure that out along the way. So that news coming in today. Talk to you. We'll probably do a show after Saturday against Florida. So should be talking to you on the weekend here in the show and then again on Monday. So stay tuned here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. You want to be in our Discord. You want to be getting ad-free versions of the show. Be sure to check out our Everydayers Club. Signing up for that is at lockedonsabres.supercast.com. All right, talk to you next time here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network.